I hid a year-long affair from my wife and now regret it, even though it ended a few months ago. I messed up badly. I had an affair with a coworker for about a year. It ended several months ago, but the guilt is eating me alive. My wife is a good person. She's supportive, kind, and I genuinely love her. I do not know why I did what I did. I have considered telling my wife. I have imagined how that conversation would go. I picture her face, the hurt, the anger, the disappointment. I think about the potential consequences. It could destroy our marriage. We have built a life together. We have a home, friends, and shared memories. This secret threatens all of that. It is a risk I am afraid to take. I also feel like she deserves to know. Living with this lie feels wrong. It taints my interactions with her. I feel like I am constantly deceiving her, even when I am just being present. The friendship I had with this coworker evolved. It became something more than just professional. The late-night work sessions blurred the lines. We started sharing personal details about our lives. I confided in her about stressors in my marriage. She listened and offered support. I felt a connection with her. It was a kind of intimacy I had not experienced with my wife in a long time. I realize now that this was a mistake. I let my guard down, and I crossed a line. I rationalized it at the time. I told myself that it was just a harmless friendship, but it was not. It all began innocently enough. This coworker, I will call her coworker, started at my office. We worked on the same team, and we spent a lot of time together collaborating on projects. She was smart, funny, and we just clicked. I found myself looking forward to our interactions. We would often stay late at the office, finishing up work and chatting about anything and everything. Initially, the conversations were harmless. We discussed our families, our hobbies, and our career goals. Over time, the conversations became more personal. We started sharing our insecurities and our frustrations. I felt like I could tell her anything, and she seemed to feel the same way. I knew I was developing feelings for her, but I tried to ignore them. I told myself it was just a crush, and it would pass. I started confiding in her about my relationship with my wife. I told her I felt like we were growing apart. I mentioned the lack of intimacy and the constant arguments. Coworker listened patiently, and she offered helpful advice. She never judged me or made me feel guilty. Instead, she validated my feelings and made me feel understood. This only intensified my feelings for her. I found myself looking forward to our conversations even more. I wanted to spend as much time with her as possible. The line between friendship and something more became increasingly blurred. The more I talked to coworker, the more I questioned my marriage. I began to wonder if I was truly happy. I started thinking about a future with coworker. I knew it was wrong, but I could not help myself. I enjoyed her company, and I felt a connection with her that I did not have with my wife. I knew that something had to give. I could not continue living a lie. I was scared, but I also felt a sense of excitement. I knew that attending the conference with coworker would be a test. I did not know if I could resist the temptation to act on my feelings. Then came the work conference. It was in another city, and several of us from the office attended, including coworker and me. We went out for drinks one night with a group of colleagues, but eventually, it was just coworker and me. We talked for hours, and the conversation turned flirty. I remember feeling a strong attraction to her. We walked back to the hotel together, and one thing led to another. We ended up kissing in the hallway outside our rooms. The next morning was awkward. We did not speak much during the conference. The guilt started immediately. I knew what I did was wrong. I felt terrible for betraying my wife. But then that night, we found ourselves alone again, and we repeated the same mistake. When we returned home, the affair continued. We started meeting for lunch, going for drinks after work, and eventually, we began sleeping together regularly. I knew I was playing with fire. I knew I was risking my marriage, but I could not seem to stop myself. The excitement, the secrecy, and the attention from coworker were intoxicating. I became very good at lying. I lied to my wife about where I was, who I was with, and what I was doing. I created elaborate stories to cover my tracks. I felt like a terrible person, but I justified my actions by telling myself my wife would never find out. The lies became easier over time, and that fact disturbed me. I also started hiding my phone. I changed my passwords and enabled privacy settings on all my accounts. I knew that if she saw my messages or call history, the truth would come out. I took my phone with me everywhere, even to the bathroom. I worried constantly that she would discover my secret. The anxiety was almost unbearable, but I still did not stop. I dug myself deeper into the hole. I began to resent my wife for making me lie. This made no sense, as it was my own fault. I projected my guilt onto her. I accused her of being too demanding and too suspicious. I created arguments over small things. I wanted to push her away, which would make it easier for me to continue my affair. I was becoming someone I did not recognize. My wife is not stupid. She started to notice changes in my behavior. I was more distant, more irritable, and less interested in spending time with her. She asked me if something was wrong. I denied it. I told her I was just stressed about work. She seemed to accept that explanation, but I could tell she was not convinced. The guilt was relentless. I would often lie awake at night, replaying my actions in my head. I imagined how devastated my wife would be if she ever found out about the affair. The thought of hurting her that way was unbearable. Despite the guilt, I continued to see coworker. I was trapped in a cycle of desire and regret. I tried to justify my behavior to myself. I told myself that my wife and I had grown apart. I told myself that I deserved to be happy. However, these excuses rang hollow. I knew deep down that my actions were wrong. I was betraying the person who loved me most. I considered ending the affair, but I could not bring myself to do it. I enjoyed the attention and excitement that coworker provided. I was selfish and weak. I knew I was playing a dangerous game. I knew that my actions would eventually have consequences. I tried to compartmentalize my life, keeping my wife and coworker separate. This became increasingly difficult as time went on. Coworker wanted more of my time and attention. She started calling me at home. I had to sneak around and lie to my wife to avoid suspicion. The stress was immense. I felt like I was living a double life, and it was only a matter of time before the truth came out. Things came to a head when coworker started pressuring me to leave my wife. She told me she was in love with me and that we belonged together. I told her I could not leave my wife. I loved her too much, and I could not bear to hurt her. Coworker became angry and accused me of using her. She threatened to tell my wife everything. I panicked. I knew I had to end the affair. I told coworker it was over, and I could no longer see her. She did not take it well. She sent me angry texts and emails, begging me to reconsider. I ignored them. I knew if I gave in, I would never escape the cycle. I thought about my wife. I thought about what I was doing to her. I knew I was hurting her, even if she did not know the details. The lying was exhausting. The sneaking around was stressful. I hated who I had become. I decided I needed to confess. I needed to tell my wife the truth, no matter the consequences. I knew it would hurt her deeply. I also knew I could not continue living with the secret. I spent weeks trying to find the right time to tell her. I rehearsed what I would say. I wanted to explain myself without making excuses. I did not want to minimize the pain I caused. Finally, I sat her down one evening. I told her everything. I explained how the affair started and how it ended. I told her I was sorry. Her reaction was worse than I imagined. She did not scream or yell. She just stared at me in silence. The silence was the worst part. The affair ended abruptly. Coworker ended up transferring to a different department. I was relieved. I thought with her gone, I could finally move on and put this behind me. But the guilt remained. It festered inside me, growing stronger with each passing day. I tried to be a better husband. I spent more time with my wife. I planned romantic dates. I told her how much I loved her. She seemed happy, but I knew I was still keeping a huge secret from her. I felt like I was living a lie. I went to therapy. I needed someone to talk to about my problems. I told the therapist about the affair. I told the therapist about my guilt. The therapist suggested I tell my wife. The therapist said keeping the secret was hurting me and my marriage. I understood what the therapist was saying, but I did not know if I could do it. Telling my wife felt like the ultimate betrayal, but maybe it was the only way to move forward. I spent weeks thinking about how to tell my wife. I considered writing her a letter. I thought about telling her during a therapy session. I even imagined just blurting it out during dinner. None of those options felt right. I knew I needed to be honest and sincere. I needed to show her how sorry I was. I just did not know how to face her after what I had done. The thought of hurting her made me sick. The hardest part is knowing I do not deserve my wife. She is a wonderful person, and I do not understand why she loves me. I am afraid she will eventually find out about the affair, and it will destroy her. I am also afraid of losing her. I know I should tell her the truth. I know honesty is the best policy, but I am terrified of the consequences. I am afraid of hurting her, of losing her, and of destroying our marriage. Part of me hopes she will never find out. Part of me wishes she already knew so that I would not have to carry this burden anymore. I spent a lot of time thinking about what to do. I replayed the events in my head constantly. I tried to find a way to minimize the damage. I also wondered if she suspected something already. I looked for signs that she knew, but I did not find anything definitive. She seemed happy, or at least she seemed normal. I did not want to shatter that. The weight of the secret pressed down on me. I considered talking to a friend, but I worried about word getting back to her. I could not trust anyone completely. I thought about writing it all down and leaving the letter for her to find, but that seemed cowardly. I needed to face her directly, if I chose to tell her. I explored every option, but I always came back to the same problem. I did not want to hurt her. I considered confessing to a therapist, but the idea of reliving all the details made me feel ill. I also worried about someone finding out about the confession. The thought of someone else knowing my secret felt unbearable. I have been having nightmares about the affair. I dream my wife finds out and leaves me. I wake up in a cold sweat, filled with regret and remorse. The nightmares are a constant reminder of my betrayal. I have lost interest in things I once enjoyed. I used to love playing sports, but I have not played in months. I used to enjoy reading, but I cannot concentrate anymore. My mind is always preoccupied with the affair and the guilt. My wife has noticed I have been down. She has asked me several times if I am okay. I keep telling her I am fine, but she does not believe me. I can see the concern in her eyes. I hate lying to her, but I do not know what else to do. I do not want to burden her with my problems. She has enough stress already with her job. I also do not want to ruin our marriage. I still love her very much, despite what I did. I know that telling her the truth could destroy everything we have built together. The thought of that happening makes me feel sick. I am trapped between my guilt and my fear. I do not know how to escape this situation. I need to tell someone, but I cannot bring myself to speak the words aloud. I have been trying to find a way to tell her without actually saying it. Maybe I could leave clues for her to find. Perhaps if she discovered the truth on her own, it would be easier for both of us. But that seems cowardly. It is also unfair to her. She deserves to hear the truth from me, not from some accidental discovery. This whole situation is a mess, and I do not see a clear path forward. I considered writing my wife a letter, detailing the affair and expressing my remorse. But I was afraid the letter might fall into the wrong hands. I could not risk someone else reading it before she did. I thought about leaving my wife. I figured it would be better for her to be with someone who deserves her. But I could not bring myself to do it. I still love her, and I cannot imagine my life without her. The coworker has tried to contact me a few times since she moved to the other department. I have ignored her calls and emails. I know if I respond, I will be opening a door I cannot close. I have started attending church again. I am hoping to find some solace and forgiveness. I do not know if I believe in God, but I am desperate for help. I am willing to try anything to ease my guilt. I have considered telling my best friend about the affair, but I am afraid he will judge me. I am also afraid he will tell someone else. I do not want anyone to know my secret. I know I need to do something. I cannot continue living like this. The guilt is slowly consuming me. I am afraid it will eventually destroy me. I know that I need to make a choice. I either need to tell my wife the truth and risk losing her, or I need to continue living with the lie and suffer the consequences of my actions. I do not know which option is worse. I am posting this here because I need to get it off my chest. I need to tell someone, even if it is just a bunch of strangers on the internet. I do not expect anyone to understand. I just need to vent. I need to confess. I have made a terrible mistake, and I do not know how to fix it. I am trapped in a prison of my own making. The affair is over, but the consequences will last a lifetime. I am not sure what to do. I am not sure if I can ever forgive myself. I know that I did wrong, and I am paying the price. The weight of it is so big, it is crushing me slowly. I am open to advice. I am open to criticism. I am open to anything that can help me navigate this difficult situation. I just need someone to listen. I needed to tell someone what happened. I needed someone to know my secret.